All right, I will bring us to order for our regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Walker County, Georgia, held at 6 p.m. on May 1st, 2025. Will the county clerk please establish a quorum?
Commissioner Blakemore.
Present.
Commissioner Askew.
Here.
Chairwoman King.
Here.
Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Thank you. Now we need to approve the agenda. Unfortunately, we need to remove the recognition of the graduates from the agenda. The organizer plans to try again next year, but I think I can speak for everyone on the board when I say that we are extremely proud of our local seniors, and we look forward to what they can do for the future of Walker County. Can I have a motion to approve the amendment to the agenda?
So. Motion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Blakemore. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Yes, ma'am.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All, it's a unanimous approval. All right. What, huh? Yeah, well, it's the next one down. All right, now we get to do some fun stuff. Ceremonial section of the agenda is two proclamations, which I'm very proud to speak about tonight. I'm going to read them, and as I read the first one for the Walker County Senior Citizens Day, if the Stoltz family is here, I'm sorry, did I forget something?
Minutes from the last meeting.
Oh, I apologize. I always skip that. That's the one I skip every time.
It's okay.
I apologize. Yes, we need to approve the minutes from the regular scheduled meeting held on April 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Askew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's a unanimous approval then. Thank y'all. Now I get to do the fun stuff, right? Okay.
That's right.
The first proclamation is for the Walker County Senior Citizens Day. Is the Stoltz family here by chance?
Yes.
Hi, come on up while I read for you. It's a little wordy, so I apologize about that, but it has to be said. So proclamation by the Walker County Board of Commissioners, Senior Citizens Day 2025. Whereas the U.S. Census Bureau estimates 13,868 Walker County residents are age 65 and older. And whereas May is Older Americans Month in the state of Georgia, and residents are encouraged to flip the script on aging by focusing on transforming how society perceives, talks about, and approaches aging. And whereas Walker County recognizes the impact of contributions made by older adults to the current fabric of our community. And whereas we honor the contributions of older adults and encourage them to explore purposeful opportunities to stay active and engaged. And whereas Walker County supports organizations like North Georgia Community Action, which operates senior life centers in Chickamauga and Lafayette, to assist older adults with daily nutritional needs, health education, and general wellness. Therefore, I, Angela Teams, on behalf of the Walker County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May 10th as Senior Citizens Day in Walker County, and encourage our older adults to attend a special event at the Walker County Civic Center at 10 a.m. on May 10th as the community pays tribute to those who helped build Walker County. This year's theme is patriotic. Those attending are encouraged to show off their red, white, and blue. And it was signed by me on the 1st of May today. Gentlemen, would you like to say a few words about this great event that's coming up?
Just a few.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Commissioners. I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support for Senior Citizens Day. It's a very special day to me and my family. I also want to thank the citizens, donors, and volunteers that make Senior Citizens Day possible. Also, I'd like to say thank you to Judge Thompson, Judge Anderson, for all the hard work that they do throughout the year. Joe LeGee, I'd like to say thank you for the proclamation that you provided. And I'd also like to say thank you to Amanda with Transit, who assists our seniors every day. To begin with, Senior Citizens Day began as an idea, a concept, by our dad and other civic leaders in the 1970s. It was a day to pay tribute to the people who helped build our cities and our county. This has been the mission of this day ever since, to honor our senior citizens. Thank you again for continuing this great tradition, and you would have made my dad very proud today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I really appreciate it, and thank you to the Chairman of Walker County. And for recognition of Senior Citizens Day and remembrance of my father. I remember in 1972, I was just a young boy, but I remember the Recreation Department and the first Senior Citizens Day. I remember carrying the tables in and extra chairs and such as that and setting up. And it was on a Wednesday, just like it'll be this year on a Wednesday, and has been every year since then on a Wednesday, because Lafayette used to close down on Wednesdays. My dad was a businessman and owner of Suburban Furniture. He was also a Lafayette Rotarian, and he was joined by other civic clubs and business owners to make Senior Citizens Day a reality. People such as Ron Harrison, who's still with us, and a member of our church right here next door. Joe Hall, who owned the Walker County Messenger at the time and was very active, but has passed away. Charlie Gwynn from WLFA at that time, and he was part of one of our local civic groups. And Mr. Charles Gilbert, and that's just to name a few. But there were also restaurant owners and lunchroom ladies from our schools that joined in to make that day boom and make it happen. Now, the Walker County Chamber of Commerce has helped planning for this year's event, again, like they have for years and years past. Senior Citizens Day, recognition. The day of recognition is upon us. I hope we'll see you there. Great food, gifts, and prizes. Beautiful music. I won't tell you who now because it'll spoil the surprise. But I'll tell you that the songs will be very memorable, and they'll be memorial, and they'll be religious, some. We'll be choosing our most senior citizen out of the group and have a special award for them thanks to the Bank of Lafayette. Special thanks to you, the County Commission, for remembering this day. Special thanks to the community, and special thanks to all the commission, and to Judge Anderson and to Judge Thompson for taking such an active role. Thank y'all very much.
Don, you mentioned May the 10th. That's a Saturday. Is that?
No, sir, I mentioned May 14th.
It's on the 14th. The proclamation says it's 10th then.
Yes, sir.
It does say the 10th. Is that the wrong date?
Wrong day, it's the 14th.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But you can make any day you want to see yourself.
Well, let me change this before I hit it.
Yeah, no,
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you so much. And I apologize for that error.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
to see y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all very much.
All right, now on to the second proclamation, which is for the Historic Preservation Month. I would like to invite the Historic Preservation Commission, if they're here, to join us at the podium while I read this one. If you guys want to come up, and ladies, thank you. Proclamation by the Walker County Board of Commissioners, Historic Preservation Month. Whereas Walker County is home to 17 sites at on the National Registry of Historic Places, including Cavender's Store in Villanelle, the John Ross House, Rock City Gardens, and a number of architecturally significant structures. I better put my glasses on. This is important stuff I'm reading. And whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation established May as Historic Preservation Month in 1973 to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling community pride, stimulating heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. And whereas Historic preservation can raise awareness of historically significant landmarks and buildings, connecting us to our shared history in ways that help shape our future. And whereas we recognize the importance of the role played by the Walker County Historic Preservation Commission, Walker County Historic Society, and Walker County African American Historical and Alumni Association, and other organizations in our community. And therefore, I, Angela Teams, on behalf of the Walker County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May as Historic Preservation Month in Walker County. I sign this day, May 1st. Congratulations. Hi, Mr. Boyle.
Hi, good evening.
Good to see you.
Good to see all you commissioners. I'm David Boyle. I'm president of the Walker County Historical Society, and we are partners. We are the private partners for the Public Historic Preservation Commission. We work together, and I am thrilled with the efforts that are being made to preserve our heritage. You know, the county owns and supports the Marsh House Museum, which is a world-class museum, and it belongs to you, so come and see us. And all the other efforts, and I get a letter from the state of Georgia about every other month, and it's because there is a project in Walker County with a penny of federal money, and they are required by law to look around and see if there's any potential damage to historic resources. So I want you to know I take those letters seriously, and if I call you asking, is there anything going on around that bridge that we need to be careful about, please help me figure it out. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you,
Thank you
Commissioner.
so much.
Yeah, I'd like to first thank the Board of Commissioners for your continued support for the Historic Preservation Commission. I'd like to thank David Boyle and the Walker County Historical Society. Like he said, we're partners, they're our public partners. They made a donation here last year to us for $1,000, and we appreciate that, David. Of course, we don't get a budget, so, and we're all volunteers as well. Just a few things we're working on. It's Historic Preservation Month. We're going to install 3 signs, interpretive signs here in Walker County. One at Estelle Mines, the Mineral Springs Resort. One up on Lookout Mountain at the Durham Mines. We plan to hold a ceremony up on Lookout Mountain for the Durham community. Back in the summer, we installed a sign in Dewberry for Rosenwald School. If you don't know what a Rosenwald School is, Google it. We meet the 3rd Monday of every month here at the Lafayette Library at 6 o'clock. The public's invited and encouraged to attend. We're working right now to bring the 162 anniversary of the Battle of Chickamauga back to Walker County down at Macklemore Cove at the Mountain Cove Farms, excuse me, as well as talking with the Atlanta Campaign Incorporated about holding the battle for Atlanta here in Walker County as well. Tourism brings in dollars for Walker County. And I'd also like to recognize a new historic society in Chattanooga Valley. They've created a historical society in Chattanooga Valley, and they meet at the Flintstone Chapel. It's a historic building in Flintstone. So appreciate y'all, appreciate the public. One more thing, we'll start our fundraising for the Wreaths for Vets this May at Down Home Days. We're working to where we can receive digital payments or online payments. So come out and see us and talk to us. We'll give you a history lesson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and keep your eyes peeled because we're working on a little pet project of my own, which is if anybody's familiar with the National Park Passport book, to where when you go to the different locations you get the little stamp, we're going to do something like that here, and we want it to showcase the interpretive signs, and I've mastered the use of several different platforms to where this will actually look good and not like I made it at home. And it will be very, very nice, and hopefully it will be appropriate for people of varying levels of mental ability. That way it could be a good resource for people that might work with at-needs populations.
Great,
So
that's
that's
awesome.
all.
Thank you. Okay, let's see, make sure I'm going to the right next thing. Next thing is my report. I think I'm over there with my glasses on. All right, Chairwoman's report. My team and I are now fully settled in, and there is a strong sense of collaboration and productivity within the administration office. We continue to monitor for opportunities to improve efficiency and reduce costs wherever it makes sense to do so. At this point, I believe it's appropriate to begin focusing more on what lies ahead rather than looking back. One key item on the horizon, which I mentioned in April board meeting, is the Community Satisfaction Survey. It is scheduled to be mailed out in late June. We've begun the early stages of developing the survey questions and are working to define exactly what insights we want to gain from that. Our goal is to ensure the survey is both meaningful and actionable, providing value through clear, usable data. The survey will be sent to random samples of residents across the county. We'll use a computer algorithm to pick the addresses. We won't pick them by hand. And we are working with an outside agency, or talking with an outside agency, to see if we should work with them to help us make sure that we do get the best value for our money, so that we get some data back that is very useful. I will provide an update on this at the June meeting again. Also looking ahead, we need to ensure that our financial resources are working more effectively for us. And I mentioned this also in the April meeting. This includes earning higher interest rates, leveraging automation, and adapting technology-driven solutions available in the banking and financial sector. I'm currently working on a strategic plan that addresses these opportunities, and I intend to present it to the board for consideration in June. There'll be lots of discussions with the board through May about these plans. In terms of departmental operations, I will be meeting with each department head, elected officials, and other such offices during May as part of our budget preparation process. The Board of Commissioners will hold public meetings in early June, and with these departments to discuss their budget requests. Those meetings will be publicly noticed as required. Following these discussions, the board is expected to approve the final budget at the July board meeting. Also, I want to share plans for an upcoming employee appreciation event. Government offices will be closed for a half a day on Friday, May 16th, to allow staff to attend a luncheon and gathering at the Mountain Cove property. For employees unable to attend the Friday luncheon, a makeup luncheon will be held on Wednesday, May 21st at the Civic Center from 11:30 to 1:30. The government offices will remain open on May 21st. And that's all I have. So I thank you very much for your interest in what's going on in your county government administration. Thank you. All right, next thing, we have committee reports. I think we only have one tonight, and I'll ask Payne Gilly to come up and talk about our litter task force update, please. Payne is our solid waste and environmental management director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First off, I'd like to recognize Teresa Dorsey and Marlena Lawrence for developing a mascot for our anti-litter campaign. And I'm incredibly proud of the energy and the creativity behind this effort. We believe the mascot will amplify our message by encouraging pride in our roads, trails, and parks while promoting personal responsibility. Because the mascot incorporates the Walker Rocks brand, we've reached out to the Walker County Chamber of Commerce and requested permission to use it as part of our campaign. Our message closely aligns with the values championed by the Walker Rocks Initiative, and we see this as a natural partnership. We believe that together we can reinforce our shared goal of celebrating everything that makes Walker County special, including the natural beauty and a strong sense of community spirit. Secondly, I've been reaching out to a few industries in the area about promoting anti-littering literature in their workplaces, break rooms, things like that, to try and get the message to that group. And also, I've reached out to the school system regarding some promotional material in their homerooms and at their schools. That even includes some live presentations. Several of the committee members in law enforcement are talking to the court system about obtaining community service workers for roadside litter pickups. So far, the feedback's been positive. And the only thing that we need to do is really work out some personal protective equipment for them and maybe some traffic control while they're out there doing that. And lastly, on April 19th, the Chickamauga Women's Club held its annual Anna Haney Cleanup Day. And on April 26th, there was also a cleanup along Rossville Boulevard. And I'm going to ask Deanna Forrester, who's a committee member, if she would step up and maybe give us a few tidbits on that.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Deanna Forrester, and since 2010, the Chickamauga Women's Club has been leading the Anna Haney Cleanup Day every year in our community, where we just rally our community together and we just clean up our roads. So last Saturday, I also participated in the Boulevard project, where we laid mulch and we also cleaned some windows and then painted them. And it's just to beautify our community, cleaning up and making it a better place. So thank you guys so much for having me and letting me speak.
You're welcome. Also wanted to mention that today codes enforcement began inspecting loads coming to the landfill, and that there were several citations, I believe 5, that were issued already. So
The fines began today, that's right.
Yes.
Thanks for reminding us about that. We, all through April, we had a codes officer there sprinkled in and out to notify people that the fines would begin today and to get people in compliance before they got fined. So thanks for reminding us about that.
okay. And that's the report for this month.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good work. Now we have one department report, and that is our county attorney report and discussion on recent procurement and other miscellaneous legal issues. We welcome Attorney Ken Gerard to the podium. Thank you for being here.
Madam Chair and board members of the public, it's a pleasure to be here. It's been a minute since I have been in Walker County. I am, my law firm, I better state it, is your county attorney. The law firm is Gerard and Davis, and we are actually located several counties away in Forsyth County. But a little bit about me before I begin my spiel, just because it's been a few minutes since I've been up here. I am the founding partner. I'm Ken Gerard. I've been practicing law for 30 years. My law firm is sort of a one-trick pony. We represent counties and cities, and that's all that we do. And so I love Walker County. Y'all have been good enough to retain me. Y'all have got such a capable staff. I love getting up here. You use me when you need me, and I appreciate that. And from time to time, you ask me questions, and I like to come up here and talk about them. I'm also a frequent lecturer for the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. And my firm also creates and teaches the local government risk management section contracting. So we do the actual manual for how you contract and procure in Georgia government for counties. And so I know a little bit about the topic. And so that is why I am here today. And again, it's a pleasure to be able to have a few minutes. I will not take a great deal of time. I've got 700 PowerPoint slides that I thought I would put up. That was sort of a joke. Tough crowd today. I can already see this is going to be difficult. But in any event, so I did want to walk you through some things. The Board of Commissioners has actually done something rather unprecedented. You have actually asked me about a recent procurement involving some heavy trucks, and you wanted my opinion. And I'm here to give it to you. And remarkably, you want my opinion out in the open, which is, you know, there's such a thing as the attorney-client privilege, and the idea is that, no, you wanted transparency on this issue, and just come in, Ken, and tell us what you think, and so here I am. And so the first thing I want to talk about when I talk about the procurement is I want to make sure that I get the facts correct, and here's what I understand the facts to be. And I know I've got a bunch of people that will tell me if I'm wrong. But here's the facts as I understand them to be. There was a procurement involving 2 I'm going to call them heavy trucks. There's actually a specification for them, the Granite 64 FR Mack truck. Two of them that Walker County acquired for, looks to be about $234,876 per truck, or $471,959 in the aggregate for the two trucks. It's my understanding also that the contract or the acquisition has already been perfected and paid, and the trucks are actually here. I understand that. One of the elements that I looked at when I was told the facts of this and sort of walked through the facts is that at the time of the acquisition, these vehicles, these two vehicles, were actually on the lot, which means that they could be driven away and could be here not in a matter of weeks or not in a matter of months or not in a matter of whatever the time it would make to either transport them here or to build them here, but they're ready. My understanding also is that at the time that this came to the board on its agenda, in the packet, there were some additional truck comparisons. Now, they were not exactly the same kind of truck, and let me explain what I mean by that. And again, I'm trying to regurgitate the facts as I understand them to be, sort of a garbage in, garbage out approach. I need to make sure that I've got the right facts so I can give you the right opinion. But as I understand the facts, there was a Peterbilt Class 7 vehicle, which I understand is not quite the marquee brand of sort of a Class 8, which is the one that you eventually purchased. But this Peterbilt truck was $185 per truck, $370 in the aggregate, and it was not lot ready. It would have had to have been ordered, is my understanding. And then there was another caliber of vehicle that was in your agenda packet, which was a Kenworth vehicle, which was a Class 7 truck. So again, not a Class 8 truck like the one you actually acquired. And that price was $187,392 per vehicle, or roughly $374,784 in the aggregate. So of the three that you looked at, the Mack truck that you bought was the higher priced vehicle, but I also understand it was a vehicle that was considered to be a better quality vehicle. It had a higher load capacity and had certain longevity elements that were better than the other two comparable vehicles. And of course, you then made the decision based upon the three that you had in front of you, including the fact that the Mack vehicle you ultimately purchased was on the lot and could be immediately accessed, to acquire that one. And so I get it. Under the common vernacular, then, you have a situation where you had three sort of pieces of information in front of you, and you actually purchased the most expensive that was in front of you. I get that. I understand, and that's caused, in fact, questions to arise as well. Was that an appropriate method of procurement when you had those three in front of you and you have these purchasing policies, and what can we make of all this? So did I get the facts right as we understand them? Okay, fantastic. So I think I got the facts correct with respect to what you had in front of you. And I know now one additional fact is that based upon the information that you had in front of you and based upon questions that have come on since then, that you have actually gone out and taken a look and tried to find a very comparable Mack truck of the same sort of general quality of the one you ultimately purchased, to see if in fact the price points were comparable. And what I have learned based upon my inquiry and based upon the documentation that I have seen is that in fact they are quite comparable. In fact, when you take and you true up actually the quality and the number of axles, et cetera, it comes up to literally the swing that I looked at was around $3,000. So that is all of those things are notable to me, and here's why. Number one, we need to set the foundation. Okay, so I've laid out the facts. Let's set the foundation. First of all, the governing authority of Walker County is you. You are the governing authority of the county, and in that regard, you wear the hat that is very much like the House of Representatives at the federal level. You are considered to be the purse strings of the county. For instance, not only do you assess and levy a millage, right, but you also have to fund various other constitutional officers. You have to fund the sheriff, you have to fund the probate judge, you have to fund the tax commissioner, you have to fund the clerk of court, you have to fund the entire apparatus of government. And who is that obligation fall on? It's you. And because you have that obligation, you are what's considered a fiduciary or steward of the public purse. The public purse is the taxes that you collect. After all, taxes are other people's money. And so you acquire, you set the levy, you collect the property taxes, and then you have a fiduciary obligation to spend it properly. Now, within the context of that, however, the Board of Commissioners is singularly tasked to identify what goods and services are in the best interest of the county. So if you believe that a certain species of truck is better than another species of truck, if you believe that a truck that can deliver a heavier payload, or that is considered to be a better spec truck, or considered to be a truck that will require less maintenance or will have longer longevity, you as the Board of Commissioners have the right to make that call and say, that's the piece of equipment that we want to inquire. We believe that is in, wait for it, the best interest of the public health, safety, and welfare. And that is your mantra. That is everything. Georgia law is very clear that when it comes to making procurements and acquisitions with respect to the affairs of the county government, that is your job. And you may say, well, now wait a second, Ken, wait a second. Are there any state laws that affect this? Why, yes, there are. In fact, the state of Georgia has delved into the realm of local government procurement in exactly 2 areas. Those areas are public works construction, with respect to your typical things that you think about from public construction. Think of building a county administrative building. Think about building a firehouse. Think about building a sheriff's precinct. Generalized capital works construction. And you may say, well, what is the rule on that? Well, the rule right now is, unless Governor Kemp is busy right now signing new legislation, which I'll tell you about, the rule is that there is a very discrete competitive procurement process for general capital procurement, general capital works procurement when you're constructing new capital programs like buildings. And that rule is anything over $100,000, it's a very regimented system of procurement. It doesn't apply to Mack trucks. And right now there is a House bill on Governor Kemp's desk that would change that 100,000 I just mentioned, the 100,000 threshold, to 250,000. Okay, but I don't know that Governor Kemp has signed it, and I haven't checked the website in the last 30 minutes. And then with respect to road construction, that's interesting. So Georgia law literally divides capital works procurement into general capital projects, buildings, and then road construction, roads, sidewalks, etc. And with respect to road construction, the threshold right now under Georgia law is a little more generous. That's a $200,000 minimum cap before the much more rigorous formal bid requirements kick in. And again, as I mentioned, with respect to generalized, there is a bill right now on the governor's desk that would increase that threshold to $250,000 as well. But the point of that is simply to say that none of those state sort of encroachments into your purchasing have anything to do with trucks. And in that respect, the duty falls on you. So I want you to be mindful of that, and I want you to be very mindful that both Georgia law and the Georgia Constitution place these obligations of being good stewards with respect to the public property on you. Okay, that's number one. So now I want to talk about the fact that you have the right, and in fact Walker County has identified certain internal purchasing policies. Okay, so again, state law doesn't mandate this, but you've done it. So your purchasing policies are a curiosity to me, and one of the things that I'm going to suggest to you as I leave, or as I take my leave later in the meeting, is we may want to take a look at some of the language. Because Walker County's purchasing policies talk about things based upon the level of the procurement. There's certain requirements for certain dollar thresholds all the way up to 20,000 to 200,000, and there's a formal sealed bid requirement for acquisitions of what's called goods or services over $100,000. Okay, so that's in your purchasing policies now. However, your purchasing policies contain a curious definition. What is a sealed bid? Because that's the process, formal sealed bids for goods or services over $100,000. 2 trucks over $400,000 would seem to fit within the bucket of requiring a formal sealed bid. But interestingly, at the beginning of your purchasing policies, there's a definition. It defines what a formal sealed bid is. And a formal sealed bid is a means of soliciting goods or services whereby the award is based on the lowest responsible bid in conformance with the provisions of Georgia law. Now, wait a second. In conformance with Georgia law, I just told you, Georgia law only deals with sealed bids in two situations: generalized public works construction and roads. So, candidly, I think we ought to probably provide a little level of greater clarity with respect to the formal sealed bid, because it doesn't apply to heavy trucks, because the state of Georgia doesn't provide procurement direction to county governments with respect to those sorts of trucks. Now, did you use some variation of attempting to pull together estimates or bids to try to inform your decision? You did. And then did you take action after the fact to confirm that you got a reasonable price? You did. And that's what Georgia law contemplates. Where did I start with this presentation? You are a fiduciary. You are a steward of the public purse. And so you have obligations to make sure that you spend the public's money wisely. And here's what I can tell you. You did. And so I'm comfortable with that acquisition. I am comfortable with the fact that you exercised your obligation to be a steward of the county's money in a way that was appropriate. Did you have a right to select a vehicle that was a higher quality vehicle with perhaps a better maintenance cycle, with perhaps a greater load capacity, with respect to greater longevity? You did. Did you pay for it? Yes. Now, have you looked and seen a vendor that provides a comparable vehicle? Yes. And what was the swing? I told you, around $3,000. I'm comfortable with that acquisition. All right. So I would kind of wrap up. Again, I don't want to really get into and have a much longer presentation. I know that there are other issues that the county may in fact want to talk about with me, and in fact you may actually want to have me up here and talk again, because you've got an engaged community, which is amazing. Worst thing in the world. I represent many, many, many counties and several cities as well. And the worst thing in the world is when I walk into a board meeting room and see a board and a clerk and an empty gallery. Because what that means is that the people have just stopped coming, or they've checked out, or they're indifferent, or whatever the issue may be. And so seeing a gallery full of people that are engaged with their government is terribly edifying to me, because it suggests that people are engaged, and I really appreciate that. But what I want to do now is do this. You've heard my recommendation. You've heard my conclusion. And oh, by the way, I do want to mention one more thing. Forgive me, I almost sat down without saying this. I told you that I did not believe that the formal sealed bid requirement was necessary here, because that you actually have a definition that defaults to Georgia law, and that Georgia law doesn't speak to trucks. But you also have in your procurement policy, this is very common in a lot of the governments I represent, this is a very common feature in a procurement policy, something called a sole source contract. And a sole source contract is a procurement where the specifications or the requirements of the service or the good are really only found in one vendor. And that was curious to me, because when I heard that every one of these trucks, the vehicles, whatever sort or type you were looking at, were all going to have to be ordered, and you had the ability to go and get one that was on the lot, you know what I immediately thought when I heard that fact pattern? Sole source, because you need the vehicle when you need it. And if you've got to wait 6 weeks or 6 months to get the vehicle, then you have not delivered services to your constituents. And that is worth money and value as well. So I'll say that to say, great job. I'm comfortable. And if the board has any questions of me, I will certainly field them right now. I'm going to sit through the meeting for a little bit longer. I know there may be speakers at public comment that want to speak about this issue. That's fine. That's the democratic process, literally working in front of our eyes, which I love. That's the ability to engage your government for redress. I love it. But do you have any questions for me, members of the board?
I would ask that did you take notes while you listen to the public comments, and if there are anything that comes up that we will ask for your comments later, if you don't mind to do that for me, I appreciate that.
You are my client. I will do what you tell me to do, and I'm going to get my pen out, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to listen to these comments because my client has instructed me to do that. Thank y'all for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Appreciate that. Okay, all right. We have a presentation. This will be a very cool conversation with Terracon on Brownfield Grant EPA. Please come forward. Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all this evening about the Brownfield Assessment Grant that you obtained from EPA, that Walker County obtained from EPA. I'm Dallas Whitmill, and I work with Terracon Consultants. We're an engineering environmental firm that help a lot of communities all across the U.S. With EPA grants. And the purpose of the EPA grants are to stimulate communities and take blighted properties and put them back into reuse. And there's a lot of examples in communities around here of where they've been able to do that, and it's very successful. The grant is a $500,000 grant for doing assessments, and it's phase 1 or phase 2 environmental site assessments. It's a 4-year-long grant. It started in August of 2022 and expires in September, at the end of September of 2026. So we're about halfway through that grant cycle. EPA puts 2 categories for the assessment grant. One is for petroleum constituents, and the other one is for hazardous chemicals. This grant allows for both, which is advantageous to the county. The grant can be used for completing brownfield site inventories, basically going around and looking at, where do we have properties that have potential contamination that aren't being used and that we could potentially put back into reuse. It'll also be used for phase 1 and phase 2 environmental site assessments, and I'll speak real quick about what those are. A phase 1 environmental site assessment is where we obtain records from EPA and state environmental agencies to see if they have any records associated with that site that would indicate that there's potential for environmental contamination to be there. We also complete a site reconnaissance to see if there's indications of potential contamination and interview current and former property owners. And if we find any potential for environmental contamination, it's called a recognized environmental condition. And if we have recognized environmental conditions, then we move to a phase 2 environmental site assessment. And that's where we actually collect samples. We collect samples of soil, groundwater, and soil vapor to determine if those are impacted, and if they are they at high enough concentrations that EPA indicates that those may be of concern to the public. And then other things that the grant can be used for is remediation and reuse planning. If you have a site that has contamination, we can develop some plans to address that contamination. We can't do the actual remediation with this grant, but we can pursue another grant with EPA later for actually helping to clean up the site. And that's one of the key strategies with this program. It also allows for community outreach, kind of like what we're doing here. We've had multiple community outreach meetings trying to get people involved. If people have sites that they're interested in enrolling in the program, they can reach out to the county and fill out a form, and then the county can decide if that's a site that's going to work well for the program, and we can proceed forward with some of those. And then what we have done thus far, we have completed assessments on 4 sites. One is the former Texaco bulk plant in Lafayette, Georgia, and we completed a phase 1 environmental site assessment there and identified recognized environmental conditions relating to the storage and use of petroleum constituents on that piece of property. This is a voluntary program. And as a result of that, the property owner decided they didn't want to go further with the program. So we only did a phase 1 on that site. Similarly, we did a Phase 1 environmental site assessment on a former dry cleaner facility in Lafayette and identified a recognized environmental condition associated with the use of dry cleaner solvents, and that property owner elected that they did not want to proceed forward with a Phase 2 as well. We had 3 sites that were identified in the grant application that the county really wanted to focus on and to be able to collect some data associated with those sites. One is the Crystal Springs Printworks mill. The other one is the Peerless Mill, and then the third one is the Barwick Mill. So we have completed a Phase 1 environmental site assessment on the Crystal Springs Mill. We identified recognized environmental conditions there, multiple of those associated with the long-term operation of that facility. And we have completed a Phase 2 environmental site assessment on the Crystal Springs site. We identified some impacts in soil, including volatile organic compounds, and these are big terms. If y'all want to talk about them more afterwards, we can do that. Semi-volatile organic compounds, PCBs, and PFAS impacts in soil. We had a PFAS impact in surface water. We were not able to collect groundwater samples because we encountered bedrock before the drill rig could get deep enough to collect the groundwater samples. So one of the things is we're proposing to go back with a different drill rig, drill down into rock, collect some groundwater samples to see what groundwater looks like there. And then we will also propose to collect additional soil samples around where we have impact so we can define what the extent of contamination is. We'll do some of the cleanup planning that we were talking about. And the purpose of that is the goal is to pursue a cleanup grant for the site. And if we get this cleanup planning put in place, it'll make the county eligible to pursue that cleanup grant from EPA to help address the site. The Peerless Mill site, we completed a Phase 1 there. Similar operations to Crystal Springs site. We identified some recognized environmental conditions associated with that with those operations there. And we completed a Phase 2. And the Phase 2 had 2 purposes on this one. One was to assess the recognized environmental conditions that we identified there. And the other one is the property owner, the current property owner has hired another firm that has already completed some sampling there. And the state of Georgia, EPD, came back and said, we want some additional data. So we used the grant to help collect some of that additional data to help move that site forward as well. And the last things that we've done is kind of some future things and some site inventory stuff. There was a site in Lafayette on Cherokee Avenue that was going through a purchase, and there was indications of contamination there. We worked with the potential purchaser to help guide through that and some conversations with Georgia EPD. And I think they're in the position now that everybody's comfortable and that transaction is going to move forward without enrolling in the Brownfield program that Walker County has. And then we're currently preparing a proposal to do a Phase 1 environmental site assessment on the Barwick Mill site. Any questions?
Okay. It was very thorough. Thank you very much. And I'm sure you cut it down a lot for us, which we appreciate that. But it was enough for us to get a taste of what you guys are involved in, and we appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for being here tonight. All right, we will move forward with our public hearing for the planning and zoning section. I need to say one thing before we get started. So I'll read this and then I'll explain. I move that we suspend our rules concerning public hearings on planning and zoning items. I believe we need to allow the people in the public to comment on these matters. And I will be directing the staff to start the process to amend our current code to provide that opportunity. I'll stop there and explain. Last month, I made a statement that we were only going to hear from the applicant because that is in accordance with our current rules, and our current rules are very old. So the board feels, as I do, that it's not fair to only hear from the applicant. So we're going to hear both sides of each application. The caveat is we are only going to allow 10 minutes total for each side. So if there's 5 people that talk, you need to split that 10 minutes among yourselves, and I'll remind you of that. So therefore, I make a motion that we provide up to 10 minutes of public comment for and against each planning item.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. All in favor? No, sorry, is there any discussion? Anybody want to talk about it? Okay, now I can say, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's a unanimous decision that we are going to suspend those old rules and allow both parties to have 10 minutes of public comment. All right, so then, if there's no objection to the board, from the board, I want to take the 2 Development Authority requests together and the 3 requests from the Pruitts together. Is that all right with everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So I would like to recognize the folks from the Walker County Development Authority at this time to come and speak on their applications for rezoning tax map and parcel numbers 0-320-036 and 0-320-037. Please tell us who you are and what you do for the Development Authority.
Just getting that ready. I'm Andy Arnold, Mayor of Lafayette and Chairman of the Walker County Development Authority.
There we go.
Stephanie Watkins, and I serve as Executive Director of the Development Authority. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, for this opportunity to speak to you all. So the Walker County Development Authority exists to assist in the promotion and development of expansions of existing industry and new industries within our county. The Development Authority purchased approximately 100 acres in October of 2022, which is about right here. It's the 2 parcels that make up, that you mentioned that you put together there, to expand our existing industrial park, which is outlined here on the map, to help bring jobs to Walker County. I mean, like I said, that's our purpose. So since we purchased it in October, the project activity has increased significantly in our community and in this site. With the increase in that project activity, we are taking the necessary steps in, to have the property zoned for industrial, as is currently zoned agriculture. So it's our understanding that the Planning Commission's recommendation to deny is that there are a number of acres still available undeveloped in the park. And while that may be true, we have to take in consideration the number of acres that are available versus what's usable in the park. For instance, when the property was purchased in October, there was an existing option on some property. It was about 52 acres that the proposed layout of the facility that would go there really cut into what would be usable, and that's kind of outlined here. And then this part here would be the proposed road. So as you can see, it doesn't leave very much on this side for development too. And like I said, you got to take into consideration easements, wetlands, roads, utilities, things like that. So that's part of the reason for needing additional acreage. So the location of a new industry, it doesn't happen overnight. It can take a while to fully develop an industrial park, but we feel that you need to be prepared as possible. Each project that we consider, we take into account the surrounding land uses, to ensure that the projects that are looking to locate are a good fit for not just the industrial park, but our community as a whole. I know that there's concern of different things there, but for example, we've not submitted the Walker County Business Park to projects that are considered heavy industrial projects for that reason. And if a company were to locate on the 100-acre site, we'd work with them to ensure that there's a good buffer, especially for those properties that are located here. We tried to outline, what a buffer could look like, because I know they're directly facing that property. So again, the projects that we're competing for are on a regional, statewide, national level, especially with tariff situations and stuff. So the additional acreage that was purchased, allows us for a greater opportunity, to meet needs of interested companies and puts Walker County at a better advantage for economic growth, especially when there's limited availability of industrial land within the region that has all the utilities readily available, including fiber and rail access, like our Walker County Business Park. Like I said, there's been real interest in the 100-acre parcel, the park, and especially that 100 acres. And without the rezone, I feel like we're limiting ourselves in preparation for future industrial growth in that area, which has already been recognized by the county's comprehensive plan, and in competing for those projects that particular site could accommodate. Like I said, this is different with different companies and what their needs are. The layout of their facility, it's a good piece of property. So, we appreciate your consideration. We hope that you will recognize the need to continue to grow and bring jobs to our community to increase the tax revenue base, which is what the Development Authority is about. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Any questions for either Mr. Arnold or Ms. Watkins?
I do. So one of the concerns was the traffic on Glass Road. Now, based on our conversation we had a couple of days ago, if that is purchased by a company and if they do build some type of industry there, their main truck traffic, the big vehicles, will come in and out on the driveway that Audio currently uses, correct?
Right, the existing, and that's what the proposed, it's already been looked at to come in here, and then it would wrap around, and so it wouldn't come off that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the vehicle traffic entering that property?
So we've taken a look at that as well, and so this is 27, so you would come straight off, and there's already kind of a drive there, and you come straight in.
So
we would try to keep the bulk of it away from here. I mean,
Right.
obviously, people that live here, they're gonna come from all directions. They know, the community, so, you're not gonna stop at all, but the bulk of it, it would come off of here.
So the cars that come to work every day could possibly come in off 27 on Glass Road for that, I don't know how long it is, 500 feet?
It's a short
length, maybe,
distance.
and go straight into the property?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Possibly the employee parking there in the front.
My third question was, we talked about a buffer, and that was one of the concerns from the planning and zoning meeting. How wide a buffer are you proposing there?
Well, I think we'd have to work with them. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's at least a minimum of a 50-foot buffer between the residential and industrial. So obviously that would be the minimum, and then we could work with any company to extend that to make it greater than that. As you can see, there's property there to do that.
Right.
I did have I thought I heard you say something along the lines of the types of industry that would come or that you would be looking to recruit there. Give me a little bit of a heads up on your manufacturing, or like you said, something about heavy industrial or.
Not heavy
I want to
industrial.
clarify that. It caught my ear, so I want to clarify that.
Yes,
please.
not heavy industrial.
Right.
Like I said, we've actually not submitted the park at all for if it's classified as heavy industrial. We've said that it wouldn't work there just because of the surrounding uses. So we would look at more at like light manufacturing and things like that. So, yeah.
Good questions. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Arnold, do you have anything to add? Well, thank you very much for presenting to us, and as you know, the decisions are made later in the meeting, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
You want to move?
You're
Can I
welcome.
move this now?
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the next one is I'd like to recognize the applicant. I'm sorry?
You want to speak again?
Oh, I forgot. Yes, I apologize. Yes, thank you. If there is anyone that would like to speak either for or against, you can come to the podium now. Okay, sure, one moment. Remember, we're going to give you 10 minutes, and you have to share that with whoever else wants to speak. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. I'm David Boyle, and I've lived most of my 79 years in Walker County except for work and schooling and other places. And I was brought home from Kitchens Clinic on the square to a little farm in Noble on Lothridge Lane, which is just across the hill from the audio plant. And I happen to be chair of the Noble Neighborhood Community Association, which began meeting after the Marsh House crematory. I'd like to read the petition that's circulating in the community to the Walker County Board of Commissioners relative to the proposed zoning of property at 157 Glass Road, Lafayette, Georgia, in the Noble community. We, the undersigned, respectfully request that the Walker County Board of Commissioners not approve the application of Walker County Development Authority to rezone Glass Road property from agricultural to industrial use. Some of us live in the Noble community because our families have lived on small farms here for generations. Others have chosen the community because of its rural character. We already have 8 to 10 small businesses on US 27 besides the audio plant and several industries, with lots of traffic, heavy trucks on US 27, and more frequent trains. We are a growing community in the Noble area because people are choosing to build homes, buy homes in this quiet, rural, semi-suburban community. We have many retirees who chose the Noble community because it is rural and quiet. We do not wish to further change the character of our neighborhood. Please do not approve the zoning changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Who would like to be next? Please remember to tell us who you are.
I'm Stacy White. I live on Lynn Trail, and the proposed property they're discussing butts right up to our property. Like you, my daughter started a petition as well against this, and it has almost 200 signatures. And there's many concerns by all the people that live in this community about noise pollution, light pollution, water and soil pollution. We already deal with the noise pollution from audio, which is very loud at times. And then, of course, there's the reduced value of our homes and property that this is really going to impact our properties. And then just the general losing the beauty and tranquility of the area that we live in, which is why most of us choose to live there in the first place. So there's a lot of people here I know that are very opposed to this. I also wanted to bring up a fact that I recently was shown a Walker County Business Park brochure that was put together by Ackerman and Company that had a proposed site. And the site actually goes onto our property, like it's over our house. So I don't really know what that's all about, but that's something you might want to look at. I can send it to you if you want me to. And then also, I would be curious to know the difference between heavy and light industrial. I think that's a very big, like, I think a lot of us would like to know, like, the definition of what's light versus heavy industrial. So.
We can't answer that right now, I'm sorry, but that's a good question. I need to find a way to get that information back out to the public.
Because the description on here where it describes what industrial property is, I mean, it talks about radiation and vibration and dust and gas and fumes and odors and a whole host of other things that fall under industrial. So even light industrial, I'm assuming, would encompass a lot of that. There's a lot of people that live right around there. So I don't want to take up any more time, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, who would start next? Anybody else who'd like to speak? Okay.
We're a little distrustful.
Tell us who you are, honey.
Pardon?
Tell
I'm
us who you
Diane
are.
Cousineau. I live on Glass Road, and my property does abut to the development. I oppose this request for rezoning because I believe it will negatively impact both my property value and my quality of life, and I suspect this will be true for my neighbors as well. I have a number of concerns, and I would like to know how you intend to address them because we have no idea what's going on this property. These concerns address both the period of construction and the operation of the facility that you plan to gift us with. So, what are your plans for setbacks and buffers of a size substantial enough to protect our property values and ensure our ability to enjoy our property? What plans do you have for noise abatement, which is already an issue for some of our neighbors? What plans do you have for future emissions and for the fallout from the construction process? Our prevailing winds are from the south, and they will carry not just sound, but the dirt and dust from the construction process and any emissions from the future factory. It will carry them straight to our doorsteps and our houses. What plans do you have in place that deal with the potential need to stockpile or use hazardous materials or chemicals? And again, like all my other questions, this pertains to the construction process as well. And what about groundwater contamination? We'd like to make sure our groundwater remains uncontaminated because several of us still have wells on our property. And for those of you who are old enough, you'll remember that it was the contamination of well water that discovered the Superfund site that's just off of Camp Road. That's how we learned that site existed, and EPA had to come in and fix it. We don't have sewer on our street, so what are your plans to manage that? I have a concern about that. Traffic, you've already mentioned. Right now, my street is a raceway between Straight Cut Road and Highway 27. And last but not least, does this rezoning mean that there will be additional train cars because the number of minutes that train sits on our track completely prevents anybody from Station 1 or the ambulance crew from reaching us in a timely manner? It sits there 5, 10, 15 minutes and it doesn't move, not to mention the diesel pollution that the church and the Phi family experience during the winter when they park the diesel engine right there by the church and right there by the house, and when it's cold, they run it all night. And of course, the people in those facilities have to live with those diesel fumes. I'd really be glad to talk about this in greater detail later, but I only have 3 minutes. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak on this application? Okay, all right. We'll move on to the next application then. All right, so now I would like to recognize the applicant. If the Pruitt family is here, they're welcome to come up and talk about the rezoning request for tax map and parcel numbers 0-326-3-054 and 0-326-3-055. And the third one is 0-326-3-056. Are the Pruitts here and would like to talk about that? We want to recognize the applicants first. Nope? Okay. All right, well then I'll open the floor to anyone that's in opposition to it. Is there anyone here? And I will, let me back up and tell you that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended that this be approved. Is there anyone here opposing? Nope. All right, hearing none, we'll move on then. Next, we move to public comment. Who would like to come and address the board? You will have 5 minutes, so anyone is welcome. Randy? Please tell us your name, I'm sorry.
I'm Randy Pittman, and I'd like to thank the Walker County community for your support with the Dress for Success up at Ridgeland High School. Was able to raise money and make sure every student that was graduating had a cap and gown, and those that needed dress clothes to go with their cap and gown, they received that. So I'd like to thank the Walker County community.
Certainly good news. Who else would like to come and address the board?
I'll say something different, but I'll be extremely brief. I just want to express appreciation to this board for the work you're doing, because I know it's not always easy and it's sometimes stressful. So I believe you have the interest of our community at heart, and I feel like in general our county is on an upward trend, that we're developing cultural resources. Our tourism is really in many ways booming. And I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Mr. Yates. Remember to say your name.
Ned Yates. I've got to add a little bit. If I may have time, I would like some more, Mr. Chairman. In April, the Board of Commissioners voted to purchase 2 Class 8 Mack trucks totaling $472,000 total. Circumstances requiring the purchase did not appear to be in line with best practices, and this is what I've discovered. The purchase violated the Enabling Act of Walker County, Section 12 of this, and it reads, former sealed bids shall be received on all purchases, and the amount, the state limit, which was $100,000. It violated the procurement procedures. For those who are not at the meeting, we've already covered some of that with the Mr. Jared. Carlin Bowers solicited 2 bids for Class 7 dump trucks, which he said he only needed. One bid was Kenworth and one was Peterbilt to replace trucks that were 20 years old. He said they would do what he needed. He did not recommend the Class 8 trucks, which Mr. Bakemore took it upon himself to contact the Mike Mahan Trucking in Nashville. No breakdown, nothing, no conversation, no record of specs. 1 page addressed to Walker County Clerk of Court. He is Mr. Blakemore's family business. Some of them use Mack trucks, same Class 8 trucks, 3rd axle. To quote Mr. Blakemore, some people will jerk you off for the 3rd one, which cannot be run in the state of Georgia. Let's put it another way. They spent $100,000 more on a truck that was usable with an unusable 3rd axle. Peterbilt presently had a Class 8 truck, the same thing as the Mack for $211 with a high lift gate for $211,000. There was no bid on that. They weren't asked for it because they were only asked for Class 7. I recognize that point out a few items to disagree with Mr. Jarrett. The Peterbilt truck was on the lot for $211,000 and ready, wasn't quoted. They didn't quote Class 8, just Mr. Blakemore. It had a Class 8, $50,000 less is what it would have cost. The Commissioner Blakemore submitted, did he ask for a bid, solicit a bid from Mack, and did he do personal business? Why is there no record of the conversation? What are the plans for the 3rd axle on the Mack trucks that somebody would jerk their arm off, according to Mr. Blakemore? Now that's some of the things that I see, but the point boils down to this. Why, if we could throw away $100,000 of unusable 3rd axle, why could we not do a forensic audit? Thank you.
Ready? Hello, yes. Okay, Melissa Halsey. Last month, the auditor with Rushton presented some results of the 2024 Walker County audit. What she did not say is what was found on page 105 of the audit. Page 105 begins with, there is not appropriate segregation of duties between recording, distribution, and reconciliation of cash accounts and other operational functions in certain departments, component units, and constitutional offices of the county. Further down on page 105, it reads, failure to properly segregate duties exposes the county to a greater risk loss due to fraud. What's curious to me is that the 2023 audit and the 2022 audit also had this exact same finding in it. In other words, for the last 3 years, our auditor has warned us of potential fraud. This begs the question, why has it not been corrected? Forensic audit. What exactly is that? We have an audit each year. That should be good, right? No. Think of it this way. A regular audit is like you going to get a sports physical for school. The doctor asks you questions about your health, weighs you in, listens to your heart, looks at your eyes and ears, and if all's good, he fills out the form and you can play sports. A forensic audit is like you going to the same doctor, but he verifies what you say. You get blood tests, have an ultrasound of your vascular system, have a stress test for your heart, and a full body MRI to make sure you can handle team sport. There's a huge difference between checkup 1 and checkup 2, and the same differences with a forensic audit. Recently, a county employee was arrested for skimming cash in the sheriff's department. The 2022 audit specifically said on page 104, while performing audit procedures at the Sheriff's Department, we noticed deposits not made timely. Proper internal controls requiring the cash receipts be deposited and transactions recorded in a timely manner. Failure to deposit cash receipts in a timely manner exposes the county to a greater risk of loss due to fraud. And guess what? The 2023 audit said the same thing about the Sheriff's Department. Over $70,000 was stolen from the Sheriff's Department. What if in 2022 and 2023 we had taken the advice of the auditor and investigated this? She would have been caught much sooner, and the audit would have paid for itself with money saved due to fraud. The 2023, 2024, and 2022 audit makes the same cash handling references in regards to the clerk of courts. Should we investigate this further? The board has said that a forensic audit is too expensive. How do we know if a forensic audit is too expensive? Have we obtained meaningful quotes? Have we done a cost benefit analysis? Has anybody really looked at the fact that a forensic audit not only can identify fraud, but one of the biggest tools is to identify operational inefficiencies? We gave away over $150 million to Macklemore, and we gave it away with this cost benefit analysis. If I give you $1 and you give me 2 back, that's a great deal. Commissioner Askew said
What
that.
we getting now?
I'll just dispute that till. Walker County deserves better. The past 3 audits at least have warned of fraud. We deserve a true cost-benefit analysis of a forensic audit. Not only can a forensic audit identify nefarious activities, again, it can also be a tool for improvements, and these improvements can result in a great cash savings. Red flag warnings are all over the place. Auditor's warnings, paper checks are still being used, and as an old accounting person, I can tell you that is like huge fraud. Account reconciliations. Most recently, we lost our newly hired CFO. In addition, purchasing protocol, despite what Mr. Gerard said, I would love to debate the protocol on the Mack truck, is not being followed. There's little to no fleet management. Accounting cannot even tell us how much is being spent on specific building renovations. The list goes on. The question should be, can we afford a forensic audit? It should be, can we afford not to have one? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else go ahead.
I just wanted to talk about living 50 feet.
tell us your
I'm
name.
sorry. I'm Linda Owens.
Thank you.
I live on Lynn Trail, close to where they want to put the industrial park. And she said something about there would be a 50-foot minimum setback.
It already exists now.
Right.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, do you want to live 50 feet from an industrial park with all the noise and light? We already have noise from audio. We already have light from audio. We already have railroad traffic from audio. And not only that, but they're talking about everybody's going to come down 27 and get off at 27 and go straight into there. They will not. They will turn off up there in Rock Springs, and they will come the back way and come down Glass Road. I know they will. Plus, there's no traffic light there. So obviously, they'll put a new traffic light, and so that'll cause more traffic congestion. So I'm just upset about this industrial park. I don't think it's a good idea for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Oh, hold on, Tina, 1 second. You're thank you.
Robert Stoltz.
Hello.
Just want to tell you guys, you're all doing a wonderful job. Appreciate what you do. I know how hard you work. I've been there, done that, but you're doing a marvelous job. And Ms. Halsey's left, but I would like to say, I would like to see that debate between Ms. Halsey and Mr. Gerard, because she would lose terribly.
Gross. I got a couple things for y'all tonight. First of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to women veterans in Walker County. Post 339 down in Lafayette is having their Women Veterans Recognition Program on June 12th at 6:00 p.m. And they're going to feed us and have a guest speaker, and everything's going to be great. Any female veterans that you know, please spread the word. June 12th, 6:00 p.m., post 339 down in Lafayette. Then, let's see. I'm going to say one other thing off the veterans topic. Yes, a 3-axle truck can be used in Georgia, but its weight limits are governed by state regulations. Specifically, the maximum gross weight for a 3-axle truck on state routes is 61,000 pounds. The federal bridge formula also dictates maximum weight limits based on the number of axles and the distance between them. Google. It's just Google. Anyway. All right. Now, I just got a couple things I'd like to ask. Y'all know, Madam Chair Lady and Chairman, I appreciate y'all so much for all that you do in our community. I would like to know, since, say, February, how many open record requests have you had, ma'am?
I can answer that. As of today, we've had 90.
And approximately how much time does one open record request take to research, on average?
I'm going to ask my county clerk to try to estimate that if you possibly. And I'd like to add also, if I may, how many people get involved in that?
Just for open records request, you have to immediately stop whatever you're doing because you're on a time limit to answer that request. The time limit, basically, it's a free service if you stay within 15 minutes of research, but you have to realize I have to stop and send that to the custodian of that files, and then that person has to stop what they're doing to answer that. So it could be a simple request that takes 15 minutes out of a couple people's day job, or it could be something that's taking 8 to 10 hours. So
okay.
If I had to average, I would say each one, if you averaged out probably 30 to 45 minutes per open record.
And approximately, just a ballpark figure, how much money per hour do each of these people get paid?
It's based on the pay of the lowest paid person on staff that could answer the questions. So if it's your CFO, you're looking at a higher rate of pay. If you
ballpark figure.
Let's go with a midline, about $30 an hour.
Okay. And this comes from taxpayer dollars?
Well, this is for your rate of pay, so yeah.
And would you say that this is burdensome on your jobs? Is this conflicting with you guys being able to do what you should be able to do to
it's very
provide quality?
It's very disruptive. We want to always want to comply. I'm taking your time. I'm not going to take your time, Tina, but yeah, it's very disruptive.
Okay. Just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to use the public comment for? Please come up.
My name is Jim Spurgeon. I'm a lifelong resident of Walker County, raised in the Rossville area. I have property on Lynn Trail. I can go out on my back deck and I can look off and I can see a pretty sight. I can see a pasture. I can see Johns Mountain. You know, I wonder if they put a plant down there, what my property value is going to be. Amen. You look at it, now then you see a pretty scene. You put a plant down there. At night, you're going to have lights if you have a plant. Audio, we get noise already from it. I can't imagine living there. I chose this piece of property off the Swanson farm back in the 70s. I built my house there. I raised my kids there. You know, I have a 300-foot well on that property. I'm concerned about what it'll do to the water if you put a plant down there without doing the proper, you know, stuff to make sure that it don't ruin the water. I love this area, and I hate to see it ruined and go from agriculture to putting that plant there. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, anyone else want to use the public comment section? Time frame? No? No? Yes? Okay, sure nobody else? All right, I know there's a lot of people and it's hard to get around, so I want to give you time to raise your hand. All right. Thank you for all those good comments, and I'm glad that Mr. Gerard hung around.
Chair, I took copious notes.
Okay, thank you.
I can take my leave.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, where are we, guys? Consent agenda? Okay, yeah. We are at the consent agenda section. We have two resolutions relating to dispersing national settlement funds that the county acts as the fiduciary agent. So the opioid settlement is a national settlement, and every state gets funding from this settlement. Every county gets funding through the state. The county is the fiduciary agent, so we hold the money. We don't spend it, but we hold it. So these are requests for us to give money so that these two entities can use it for these purposes. The disbursements will help support individuals in recovery and assist those who are transitioning out of jail as they prepare to re-enter society. An example of something we did a year or so ago, $5,000 was used out of this fund for purchase of Narcan, to be placed in all the county buildings. So that's an example. So these two settlement requests or fund requests, one is for funds to go to the Unified in Recovery Agency, and the other one is for funds to go to the Walker County Sheriff's Office. Do we know what they're buying with that, by any chance, what the county sheriff's buying?
Walker County Sheriff's Office is for their reentry program, which is headed by Connie Bradshaw.
Okay, thank you, Connie. Do I have a motion on the two opioid settlement fund request stated in R-031-25 and R-032-25. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Any questions, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's a unanimous approval. Good stuff. All right, on to new business then. Let's see, Resolution R-033-25 is to reappoint Mr. Jamie Bennett to the Board of Assessors. Mr. Bennett was previously appointed, but he needed training and it wasn't available to him, so his probationary period ran out. And the training is now available. They want to put Mr. Bennett back on because he's ready to get started. So do I have a motion from the board about this reappointment for Mr. Bennett?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it was unanimous approval to reappoint Mr. Bennett. Thank you. The next resolution is R-034-25 to award a contract for the 2025-2026 road paving list. The county received 4 sealed bids for the 2025-2026 road paving list. The board has reviewed all of the information on every bid and is ready to make a determination to award the paving contract tonight. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion to go with C.W. Matthews. They are the lowest bidder by approximately $500,000, and I feel they're a reputable contractor in the state.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Is there discussion about this motion? Okay, well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, it's it's a unanimous decision to award C.W. Matthews the bid for paving for 2025 through 2026. Thank you, gentlemen. The next resolution is a great example of how citizens can help their community. This one is Resolution R-035-25 to award a contract for the Lofton Lane Bridge repairs. A citizen reported some safety concerns on this bridge last year, which prompted the county to request GDOT to perform an inspection. GDOT discovered several issues and ordered we make an emergency repair. The county closed the bridge and began working to address these issues. We have received 2 sealed bids, and the board is prepared to award the bridge repair contract tonight. Is there a motion from the board from those 2 bids?
Make a motion to accept the low bid.
Yeah, CTI recommended Hashburn Construction.
Yeah,
They were a low bid. They've worked with them before. They speak very highly of them, so I second that motion.
Okay, so the motion was made by Mr. Askew and the second was made by Mr. Hart. Is there further discussion needed?
No, ma'am.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, it's unanimous. Is it, how do you pronounce that? Hashburn?
Hasburn?
Hasburn?
Hasbun.
Hasburn.
Hasburn.
It's in the CTI report.
Congratulations to the Hasburn Company. All right. For the next resolution, I invite Joe Legee, our Communication and Community Development Director, to come, I was going to say, where is he? He just disappeared back there.
He left.
To come up and discuss this item to the board. This is Resolution R-036-25 to accept the terms and conditions of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources for a recreational trails program project. Joe?
Thank you. It's a little bit different being up here.
Yeah, you're always behind the camera.
So this is basically the third part of what we've been working on at the Walker County Civic Center to really transform that location into a recreational asset for our community. We first started with the inclusive playground, and of course we're awarded the grant to do the playground expansion and the pickleball courts, and then I'm pleased to let you all know that we received the grant to resurface the trail that's there at the Civic Center. So what we're looking at doing by accepting this grant, it's $200,000 from Georgia's Recreational Trails Program, would have an $80,000 match from the county, and we're gonna do either asphalt or bonded rubber surface, something that won't have to be maintained like we're having to right now with that gravel surface that keeps washing out whenever we have rain. This trail is actually used on a regular basis, even though it does have some maintenance issues. And when we've been out there and seen community members using it, they're excited that we're gonna hopefully transform this location.
This will make it safer too, right?
It'll be a lot safer, especially for those who have issues with their knees and
Or in a
other things.
wheelchair.
And in a wheelchair, yes, you'll be able to. I know there's some really steep slopes there, so
Well, we can work on that
Yeah.
when we start repaving it, right? Try to level it out a little bit maybe?
we can take a look at it, but
Okay.
the slopes are gonna
I
be
spoke
hard
too
to
soon. Darn.
really
Okay.
address.
Well, that's exciting. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Legee?
Yeah, we talked about it before, but the surface of that is gonna be what? Tell us what it's.
So we'll put it out for bid with options.
I mean, the surface that we put, it's not gonna be paved with asphalt. There's gonna be some type of.
That would be one of the options that we would
Oh,
look
I
at.
see what you're saying.
Either
Like a composite.
asphalt or like a bonded rubber surface. The bonded rubber obviously is a little more expensive than asphalt, but we wanted to have a permanent surface there.
Okay.
Now that it's been approved, have you got an RFP? Who's writing the RFP for that? to put out?
I will most likely write that, and it'll take me
Yeah.
a month or so to even
Right.
get that put together, and then it'll be another 30 to 45 days once we get it put out to bid. You know, we're obviously a little bit behind on this project because we thought that this was gonna be awarded, or we were gonna be notified toward the end of last year, and here we are, 1st of May, just finding out about it, so our timelines are kind of all out of whack. Originally, I'd hoped we could do everything all at one time.
Right.
But the playground and pickleball courts are gonna get in before
Before that
we're
gets done.
really able to get this done.
Well, thank you very much for that
Certainly.
explanation.
Thank you all.
So, with that explanation, Do I have a motion from the board?
Make a motion to accept the terms and conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, it was unanimous approval. The next resolution, R-037-25, authorizing and approving the Fifth Amendment to the pension plan for employees of Walker County, Georgia. This action, this is something we've been working on for a long time. We're getting close to the end. This action will unfreeze the plan and allow the funding to begin back to 01/01/25. So they'll unfreeze as far back as the pension needs to go. Like if the person is 13 years in their job and it got frozen at 7 years, it'll go back to that 5 years. If it was just 1 year, it's 1 year. But each person's got a different situation in their portfolio. But it does take it back to the beginning of this year. So the people who are eligible for retirement can file for retirement immediately if this board approves this amendment today. There will be one more thing we have to do in June, but it's where the trustees have to come and report a final report to us that make it officially closed. So, but today they are asking to unfreeze the plan. So I make the motion that the board approve the unfreeze action. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Is there any discussion needed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So you mentioned unfreeze. The plan was frozen in 2013, correct?
That's right.
And so basically what this will do is go back to 2013.
Yes.
Is restart again for those
That's
employees.
right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
I thought that was.
And it will come to today. The reason the 01/01/25 date is used was for the legal amendment to, we're reversing it. We should have done it in January, in other words.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is unanimous approval to unfreeze the pension plan. Yay. Woo.
And thanks for Christie for all her hard work. Not Christie,
Yeah.
Christie.
Yeah, Christie.
Christie Anderson.
Judge
right,
Christie
yes.
Anderson has.
She's worked really hard on that.
One of the trustees and worked very hard on this.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting there. Approval, the next one is approval of the Georgia Opioid Crisis Abatement Trust Grant to the LMJC Accountability Courts. That is the Lookout Mountain Judicial Court System. Because we are the fiduciary agency, like I talked about in the earlier section of where we talked about the opioid funding, the county is the fiduciary agent. We are asked to accept the funds from this new portion of the opioid settlement. So every time more money comes in, we have to officially say we're getting more money. So it's on the record. So that's what this does. The accountability courts received $387,000 from the state's portion of the opioid settlement, and they need the county to oversee these funds at our banking institution. So I make the motion that we approve this request to accept these new funds. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. Is there any discussion? Do we have any questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous that we will accept the new funds for this wonderful program. All right, the next one is the purchase order for 2025-00001629 for $230,000. I'm sorry, $230,665.60 to Yancey Brothers Construction, or maybe Yancey Brothers Company. Sorry, it's just a CO. For buyout or lease. Sorry, I need to put my glasses on, I guess. For the buyout of the lease for a D4 Caterpillar track dozer at the landfill. So we've had this dozer. You know what? I'll just have Payne come up. Payne, you want to come up and tell us about the dozer? How long you've had it? And I don't want to mess it up anymore. I already have.
You're fine. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to discuss this. This was a dozer that it's actually a rent-to-own plan that we rented from Yancey, and we made monthly payments on it, and it was for a 6-month period. We went through our 6 months, and they granted us extensions, and now we've kind of come to the end of the period. And so we're looking at the dozer, and the original cost of the dozer with Sourcewell was $280,647, and we've paid $82,220 in rent over the year. And then the portion of the rent that was applied to the purchase was around $50,000. So that brings the current price, the option to buy, at $230,655. And the landfill currently has a John Deere 85K, which is a 50,000-pound dozer, tractor dozer. And we used it primarily to push up construction and demolition material on the work face of the construction and demolition landfill. That beast of equipment is a lot to move around the site to do smaller jobs. So especially when you get on the slopes, we have 30% grade on our slopes with the landfill. It's very, very tricky. So this one is a wide track, low profile dozer that will allow us to work on the slopes and do the smaller jobs around the landfill that we need a dozer for, to push up the brush pile, to maintain our roads, and so on. And it's got the forestry package with it. So we have protective windows, grates around the windows. We've got sways that come out of the front. It's got a 6-way blade on it. It's got GPS capabilities. It's really a purchase for the future. It's a piece of equipment that we could use for a long time at the landfill, but could also be used in other parts of the county when needed. And we're just at the end of the rental period, and we'd like to buy it through SPLOST. So.
Yes, this would be through the SPLOST funding that was pre-dedicated to the landfill from 2020. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So what's the board's pleasure on this?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Is there a discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous to purchase the dozer. All right, the Walker County Development Authority request, we're on to the, am I going the right direction?
That's right.
Okay. We're now to the portion of the meeting where the board will make determinations on the rezoning requests. The first one was the Walker County Development Authority that requested a rezone for the 2 tax map and parcel numbers 0-320-036 and 0-320-037. The Planning Commission recommended the rezoning be denied based on the fact that the other areas of the industrial park are not being utilized. We've heard from the representatives from the Development Authority, and so now it's up to the board. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion to table this for 1 month to allow all of us to get a little more data on it. I know that Mayor Arnold and Stephanie have worked very hard on it. And when I saw it on the agenda at the Planning and Zoning Commission, I thought, well, that's a no-brainer that will pass, because I didn't think about how it would impact the surrounding counties. And when I read the minutes and talked to the board members, I understand that it is going to impact the surrounding residents. It's not going to be a farm again, because the property sold for $12,000 an acre, and I don't care if feed or cattle are bringing $3 a pound, you can't afford to buy it and farm it. So because of its location next to the industrial park, that's been there for how long, Mark? 10 or 12 years? Maybe 15? It just kind of fits that use, and it's got to be there. I mean, it's got to be, it's not going to go back into an ag function. It's just not, it just doesn't cash flow, it's not cost effective. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that we're making the right decision for the whole county right there. I've talked to David Boyle quite a bit, talked to him about some of the comments from the meeting that his community had, and I hear both sides of it, and I just want to make sure that we make the right decision about what goes there, and that'll give us a little bit of time to discuss that some more. So that's my motion.
Thank you for that. Is there,
I'd like to speak.
we have to do it in discussion. So I need a second for that motion.
Second.
Okay, now the discussion.
Okay, I just, after, like I said, after hearing some of the input, I do understand, and I hope that everybody, the residents understand that, you know, we hear from one side, we don't want any more subdivisions. We don't want subdivisions here. We don't want this. So, you know, as Mr. Hart said, the purchase was made for over $1 million for the property.
1.2.
And I don't have any problem with pulling back and looking and listening to the citizens, but just understand, like Brian said, it's not going to be a farm anymore. Somebody's going to buy it, and somebody's going to be able to use that property for something. And so, be careful, you know, what we wish for, because we may be setting ourselves up in a different direction. So this, you know, like I said, it's not going to be a farm anymore. It can be an addition to our industrial park. It could be developed into housing. There's all types of options, and so, you know, just be mindful of that. But I would agree that to table it and gather some more information would not hurt us. I don't think at this time.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I mean, it being on the state highway, I mean, that's where you want any kind of industrial, where we're not taking a hit on our county roads, because you want any industrial, any heavy traffic to a state route as fast as you can get there. And if all truck traffic is going to be directed straight out the industrial park, you're on 27, no county roads affected. So, but.
Any other discussion?
No, ma'am.
All right, then let's vote on the motion to table this for 1 month. So we will revisit this in June, at the June meeting. So all in favor to table this motion, or the motion to table, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Point of order.
I'm sorry?
Point of order.
Oh, yeah. Please let us conduct our business. Thank you. All right, let's repeat what we did. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, then the motion passes to table it till the June meeting. Thank you for that discussion. All right, we have one more. Am I in the right place?
The Pruitt property, yes.
All right,
And
yes.
they're all contiguous. Can we do that once, I'm thinking?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so. Since we started that way, we can do that. Okay. So Robert and Carleen Pruitt requested a rezoning for the tax map and parcel numbers. There's 3 of them, 0-326-3-0. Please hold down your discussions. Thank you. Sir? Ned Yates, please let me finish my business. Thank you.
Didn't know I was keeping from it.
Yeah, I'm hearing murmurs and I'm seeing you talking.
That wasn't me murmuring. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the Pruitts requested a rezoning for tax map and parcel numbers 0-326-3-055 and 0-326-3056, and I'm missing a number.
054.
54,
Okay, that's the one
55, and
I missed.
56.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so the first one was supposed to be 0-326-3-054. Thank you.
There you go.
The Planning Commission recommended the zoning be approved, and we didn't hear from anybody, did we? No. There was no comments. So can I get a motion from the board on this? Either way.
Motion to approve the rezone, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Askew. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes to approve the rezoning of those 3 parcels. Thank you. All right, we are at the commissioner comments. So, Mr. Blakemore, you usually start. Would you like to start tonight?
That's fine. I'll just touch on the truck stuff real quick, briefly. I was born and put in a truck. My mom drove a truck. My dad drove a truck. That's all I've ever known. That's all I've ever been around. So I grew up in them. I graduate high school. I go to the road department. So I spent 7.5 years at the road department. I actually got my CDLs through Walker County at the road department. Well, guess what? They didn't have a truck that would pass inspection. So I borrowed a truck from my dad to take the test for Walker County. So moving forward, I've drove all the junk Walker County had. I hauled the equipment, I drove the tandems, I drove the single axles, I snowplowed the whole deal. So I leave Walker County, I go back to the family business where I drive about 7 years. And I put approximately 1 million miles on dump trucks and a tractor trailer for the family business. So to say that you know more about what trucks we purchase than I do, I drove a truck more than you'll probably ever drive a car, okay? So I did ask our guys to get specs on a Class 8 truck with a high lift gate. I can't help they didn't do that. This board put their faith in me to get what we needed, and I felt it was the best truck to fit Walker County's need. They were available. Bobby should be here somewhere. He don't even have a tandem truck on the road. We don't even have one to run. That's crazy. We couldn't wait 6 months for a truck. So I did what I felt was best for the citizens of Walker County. To clear one more thing, I seen a comment on the live feed that my family would buy the old trucks. I don't have anything to do with the family business. I run my own business. But let me clarify something. If they do buy them, they'll be at a public auction, the highest bidder, so you can buy them too if you want to. Go to the auction. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to thank the participation from the public here again. As our attorney stated, there are a lot of jurisdictions and a lot of places in this country, in the world, and in the state that people don't participate. They don't get out, they don't show their face, and we're lucky that we have those folks here that like to come in and we can debate, we can talk about it, we can look at the information and try to make the best decisions that we can. So I thank you for your attendance, and I ask you to continue to come in and participate in your local government. That's all I have for you. Thank you. Thank you. And also, I do want to add one thing. I do want to thank our road superintendent on our paving list. We did a great job on getting out a tight list, and we had some very tight bids. And Brian mentioned the bid was close to 500,000.
Yeah, about 2.5%.
But we just approved behind that to fix the Lofton Lane Bridge, which is a major thoroughfare, and for public safety purposes, the money that was saved on that low bid will fix that bridge. So by doing that due diligence, getting a strong, tight RFP out and getting a good bid, we're able to do better business. So I want to give credit for that work. I want to give credit for that fine work. So other than that, thank you.
That's very good point, Mark. Mayor Lafayette's still here with us. Yes, sir. They have some great events in town. They have music on the square coming up. When is that, Andy? I'm trying to remember. The 23rd, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's probably going to be at Mars since we moved.
Okay, it's the Morris Theater. So if you're in District 3 or close to District 3, come by and check out what they're doing in Lafayette. It's a great thing. And then on the 31st is the Honeybee Festival. So that's an event that Mayor Arnold and the city manager and many people with the city have worked on. It's a great event. There's probably 20,000 people come to the city of Lafayette to see the sights. So it's just, if you have time, it goes on for Friday night and all day Saturday on the 30th and 31st. So try to make it. Gene?
Wilson?
I just want to thank all the county employees working hard every day. Reiterate what Mark said to Carlin about putting together the road, and we all looked at that list and put our input, and everybody's wanting roads, but good job on Carlin's part on leading that. And thanks for Angie, all your day-to-day hard work. We know the phones don't stop ringing, do they? So appreciate everybody coming out, and everybody be safe.
I need to ask the board to go into executive session to discuss matters of personnel, litigation, and/or property, please. So
Yes,
we'll do
second.
that right now. Oh, second, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then let's go to executive session.
Hi, I'm Joe Legee, Public Relations Director for Walker County Government. The board has just entered executive session. This is a process that allows elected officials to discuss a specific, sensitive topic behind closed doors. These are topics that are exempt from the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Executive session topics must fall into one of three categories: litigation, real estate, or personnel matters. In terms of litigation, the need may arise for the board to consult with the county attorney on pending or potential lawsuits, settlements, claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions brought by or against Walker County government, its officers, or employees. Real estate covers discussions regarding the future purchase or acquisition, disposal, or lease of property. Personnel matters would cover the discussion or deliberation on the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal of a Walker County government officer or employee. Now, if a vote is needed pertaining to an issue discussed in the executive session, it must be taken in an open meeting. Otherwise, it is not binding.
All right, we're reopening the regular scheduled programming. There were no actions taken in the executive session, so we are adjourned. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.